Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I'm a reporter. As you can see by my official press card, I write for the for the Bronx Post and the Parkchester Times, like this show, who are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News, have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com, and Facebook pages 100% and What is Going On in Your Local Community Board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host or any guest or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily that of Parrot Media Corporation. Let's give you a quick weather report today. It should get about up to 81 today, and that should be the last of the 80s in a long while. It's because it drops to 77 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday, 79 on Monday, and by Wednesday, the high will not get out of the 60s. Now, I have as a guest today, Mr. Anthony Revec, Mr. WrestleMania, who is trying to get on up. We're back in with the studio. So let me bring on Mr. Anthony Revecchio, if I can. Mr. Producer, let's bring on Anthony. Is Anthony here? Well, I want to talk to Anthony about the WWE because Anthony wrote for wrestling magazines. I see, is he here in the studio, Mr. Producer? There we go. Mr. Wrestling, you're sideways, but we're going to have to deal with that. How are you today, Anthony? I see you're frozen also, Anthony. There you go. You're moving a little. How are you doing today, Anthony? Can you hear me, Anthony? Let's see. We got Anthony moving around. Well, let me start with that the WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment Corporation, has changed since Vince McMahon left it. They had the WWE channel at $9.99 a month, which showed you everything WWE, and I'm getting another message from Anthony. He is not going to make the show, unfortunately, because he's not coming. Anthony, you want to give it one more try? Let me see if I can give him a text. One more try. As I was saying, it has morphed into more channels and more money for a WWE fan. And you.
Let's go with Eric. From Manhattan's bright lights to Brooklyn's vibe, the Bronx's spirit, Queens' diverse tribe, Staten Island's charm, we're all in this crew. Eric Adams leads with a vision so true. Jobs in the city, he's breaking that ground, creating opportunities, hear that hopeful sound. Transportation smoother, our streets come alive, digital advancement, watch our future thrive. Eric Adams leading the way pour une meilleure journée à New York. De qualité pour que tout prospère, on y croit. La sécurité publique d'abord main dans la main. Avec la police, on se tient bien, baisse de la criminalité. Ensemble on s'unit, des communautés fortes, portant des fils de vie. Quality education, every child deserves. Schools that shine, where passion preserves. Eric's vision keeps our future bright. For every New Yorker, he's our guiding light. Eric Adams leading the way pour une meilleure journée à New York, il est là. Safer streets, healthy lives. Éducation de qualité pour que tout prospère, on y croit. This November, let's make our voices loud. Vote for Eric Adams, let's stand proud. 4 more years of growth on the rise. New York City shining under these skies. Eric Adams leading the way pour une meilleure journée à New York, il est là. Safer streets, Let's rally together, let's make our stand. With Eric Adams, the future is planned. 4 more years, let's take flight. New York City, we'll do it right. Let's rally together, let's make our stand. With Eric Adams, the future is planned. 4 more years, let's take flight. New York City, we'll do it right. Do it right. Do it right. Do it right.
Okay, it seems like Anthony must have optimum Wi-Fi because he's telling me on a text that his Wi-Fi is going out, so I'll have to have him on next week possibly to talk about wrestling, or maybe he can come back on. But it's getting to be, if you're a wrestling fan like I am and many of you out there are, that it's costing you an arm and a leg to see these wrestling events. And now, let me get into something that happened yesterday evening. I was at the Allerton homeowners meeting last night, waiting for a debate between the 13th candidates, 13th city council district candidates. Here is a photo. You could see that is the vice president of the Allerton homeowners, and 2 candidates only: incumbent councilwoman Christy Malmorato and independent Democratic candidate Joel Rivera. Now, what happened is that Shirley Aldebol at 4 p.m. called to say, "Oh, I can't make it." So this is the second one in a row that she didn't make. And I say to Jamal Bailey, where is your candidate? Where's Shirley? Is she hiding from the public? I understand she's not going to make the Morris Park Community Association candidates night. So where's Shirley, Jamal Bailey? And these old John Perez for Democrat for state senate come in handy when you can put on the other side, where's Shirley, Jamal? Is it because she did so horrible in the Democratic debate that the Van Ness Neighborhood Association had, and that she received less than 30% in the primary, the Democratic primary? What? Where's Shirley, Jamal? Where's Shirley? If you go to my blog and look in the archive section, I found her one time with about 3 or 4 other people, and when I went to get a snapshot of her campaign manager put her hand over there, so I couldn't catch her running away from me, trying to ask her, where's Shirley? Okay, so Jamal, where's Shirley? Jamal Bailey, the Bronx Democratic County leader. Where's Shirley? Okay, let's move on. Maybe we can find Shirley later in the show. Oh, I see. I'm back. Is Anthony back with us? Can he come on? Nope. Do we have Anthony, Mr. Producer? Can we plug him in? All right, let's go on to something then. New York State tax refund checks are coming. It's about 8 million New York State taxpayers are expected to receive some cash from the state. The Hochul administration today will announce that the inflation rebate checks are being mailed out to New Yorkers to the tune of $150 to $400 based on the household's income. Hochul framed the checks, arriving a year before she faces re-election, of course, as a way to address the broad affordability of concerned voters. Starting today, we're sending inflation refund checks to over 8 million New Yorkers because it's simple. This is your money, and we're putting it back in your pockets, Hochul said. I'll never stop fighting to help your family address the rising cost of living, and that's why I've delivered on my promise to cut taxes for the middle class and expand the child tax credit, ensure free school meals for every student. The checks, though, has sparked criticism from fiscal watchdogs. The rebate program comes at a hefty price, $2 billion, as the state is struggling with federal cuts. New York's projected budget gap next year is $7.5 million, and it stands to get larger with federal spending But why worry? Do you think you may vote for her? I don't know, Kevin. I know you're probably going to vote for her. So, it's it's part of the $254 billion budget this year. So, Kevin, I don't know how much you're getting. You're probably going to get $150 like I am, but who knows? Let's talk presidential politics. Trump at the United Nations. Tuesday, President Trump delivered a critical address to the United Nations General Assembly, charging the institution with failing to act to solve the spiraling conflicts, immigration woes, and disregarding, in its empty words, that it doesn't solve war. All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter, he said, touting his own peacemaking efforts at a moment of heightened strain with U.S. allies over the Palestinian statehood, trade, and other flashpoints. Trump also called climate change a con job, saying international agreements to reduce global warming were destroying much of the free world, with demands that the industrialized nations dispute their societies, even as the developing ones continue to defy the rules. He urged the United Nations to forge a new path in partnership with Washington. He said he believed the organization has tremendous potential, while he touted his own success, again sharply criticizing many of theirs. Now, as far as Gaza goes, the Trump administration is asking for congressional approval to sell nearly $6 billion of weapons to Israel. And as Israeli tanks push further into the densely populated Gaza City, the Israeli military estimates that more than 450,000 people have left the city since the start of September. Hamas, which are still in effect, it appears, however, disputes this, saying that just under 300,000 have left and that about 900,000 people remain in Gaza. Trump's Middle East Peace Conference with leaders of the 8 Muslim majority countries included Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Qatar. It came just a day after he hosted U.S. allies, including France, Britain, and Canada, who made coordinated announcements formally recognizing the Palestinian statehood for the first time. The President Trump promised to Arab and Muslim officials that Israel will not be allowed to absorb the West Bank, which is governed by the Palestinian Authority, and not Hamas, he said. Trump assured Arab nations that there would be no Israeli annexation of the West Bank. Trump's assurances were sufficient to win positive words from around the table. The plan involves a gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza once a ceasefire has been agreed and all the hostages that are still being held are released. Gaza would be governed without any involvement from Hamas and maintained with a security force that would include Palestinians, but also soldiers and funding from Arab and Muslim neighbors. The Palestinian Authority would reportedly have a role to play. Now, another thing that's affecting the country here is the government possibly shutting down at the end of the month. Top Democratic congressional leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries sent Trump a letter demanding, "We want to have a meeting with you," blaming Republicans for a possible shutdown. "I'd love to meet with them," Trump said, "but all they want all this stuff that then they haven't changed." Trump abruptly canceled this week's planned meeting with congressional Democratic leaders Schumer and Jeffries, who are refusing to negotiate their demands to shore up health care funds as part of the deal to prevent the potential looming federal government shutdown. A White House memo last night prepared from the ground for mass firings across the federal government in the event of a shutdown. The memo confirmed the worst fears of Democrats, concerned that failing to keep the government open will only allow Trump and the Office of Management Budget Director Russ Vought even greater control over federal spending. Democratic leaders are split on the scale of the threat. Last night, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer dismissed the memo as an attempt at intimidation, insisting that any unnecessary firing will be overturned in court or the administration will end up hiring the workers back. But House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries appeared to be taking the threat seriously. In a post on X, addressed federal workers in Virginia ahead of the Commonwealth looming gubernatorial election. "The goal is to ruin your life," Jeffries said. The government shutdown is now 6 days away, and Capitol Hill is getting ready. It's less than 6 days away now, and Capitol Hill is getting ready. Congressional staffers, though, will still be paid, but non-essential staffers won't report for work and other activities on the Hill will cease. Restaurants and barbershops will likely close. Garbage won't be collected from Hill office, the report says, and Democrats are due to gather for last-minute talks tomorrow at 4 p.m. It's at the commercial time right now, so let me go to our commercial as I can see.
From the Bronx to Staten Island, from Brooklyn to Queens to Manhattan, together we've built hope, progress, and safety, and together we will get the job done again. Let's get the job done again. Hey, hey, let's keep this city strong, my friend. Hey, building bridges, breaking chains. Hey, for every borough, every name. Let's get the job done again. Hey, hey, let's get the job done again. Hey, the city never sleeps. The lights are burning bright. From uptown streets to downtown nights, we face the storm. We've stood our ground. A stronger, safer New York we found. Bronx beats, Brooklyn dreams, Staten pride, Manhattan gleams, Queens rising. Together we stand, every voice, every heart, every hand. When the city calls, we rise as one. The fight ain't over, the work's not done. Hope in our hearts, truth in our stride. For New York's future, side by side. Let's get the job done again. Let's keep the city strong, my friend. Building bridges, breaking chains. For every borough, every name. Let's get the job done again. Let's get the job done again. Voices rising in every street. Justice marching with every beat. Safer schools and brighter days. Opportunity lighting the way. From the
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome back. Let me continue about the Democrats losing confidence. It appears that Chuck Schumer is losing support among his constituency. There are 4 Democrats running to unseat Republicans in Maine, and they have already pledged not to support Schumer as the leader. 3 other candidates, one of them refused. In Illinois, 3 leading Democrats vying to succeed Schumer's retiring number 2 say they're keeping their options open. In Ruby Red, Iowa, where Democrats are eyeing a short flip, 2 of the party's Senate candidates are missing words in their objections to Schumer's leadership. Hell no, Nathan Sage, one of the Iowa Democrats vowing to replace retiring Republican John Erst, told Politico when asked if he backed Schumer for leader. And it appears that that's not the only problems that he has. As we go to the New York State Democratic Party, it appears that Jay Jacobs, the chair of the New York State Democratic Party, may leave at the whim of Governor Kathy Hochul, because the fight is Governor Kathy Hochul has decided in her infinite wisdom to back Zohan Mandami because she knows that if she doesn't, her future opponent in the Democratic primary next year, her Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, will have the backing if Zohan Mandani gets elected mayor, and that would be disastrous to New York City, but we'll talk about that at a future time. Now, Jacobs refuses to back Mandami, so there is a fight, and his anti-endorsement bucked Governor Kathy Hochul's New York Times op-ed endorsement. So we'll see what happens with the Democrats, and things could get even worse as you may see AOC running for president in 2028, or if she takes the smart route, running against Schumer if he doesn't retire at the time. It's a Senate race between Schumer and Ocasio-Cortez, who will be 35, or is 35, would be a generational clash pitting the Democratic Party's leading traditionalist against its star insurgent progressive. This year, AOC has campaigned across the country and in parts of New York State, far from her Bronx and Queens district, while investing millions to grow her already formidable online position. And this, I have to say that I moderated the debate between then candidate for Congress, Alessandria Ocasio-Cortez, and a city council stand-in for then Congressman Joe Crowley. And as I said, Jamal Bailey, your candidates aren't showing up. Where's Shirley in the 13th council district? So, this is what happens when candidates don't show up. Others win. Let's go to a more serious topic now, the Dallas shootings outside the ICE Center. FBI Special Agent Joseph Rothruck has confirmed that the FBI is treating the shooting of the ICE field office in Dallas as an act of targeted violence. 3 detainees were shot. 1 person is dead. 2 others are in critical condition, as confirmed by the Department of Homeland Security. No ICE officers were hurt. DHS corrected an earlier report that it said 2 of the victims had died. 2 of the people who were shot died. The suspected shooter died of a self-inflicted wound. This was at least the 4th incident of violence against or threat against ICE, as in Texas this year, that CNN has reported. The incident within minutes sparked a familiar back and forth across airwaves and social media about the motivation of the shooter, whether one should carry the blame. Once again, FBI Chief Kash Patel dropped an early clue on social media with a picture of the bullet casing inscribed on the words anti-ICE. There's not much more to go as of yet, he said. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is ready to make his decision on whether he will be endorsing New York City Democratic mayoral candidate Zohan Mandani, and he says it's coming sooner rather than later. I expect to have more to say about the mayor's race shortly. The governor, the Speaker of the Assembly, all over last weekend, and Councilwoman Yvette Clarke, who is in his neighboring congressional district, who's a good friend of him, made the decision to endorse Mandami. Jeffrey said, everybody makes these decisions based on an individual basis in terms of their timing, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, he added. And it's a decision that's coming sooner rather than later, as a growing list of prominent Democrats have backed Mandami in recent months, increasing pressure on Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to follow. Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen last week criticized the fact that many Democratic members of the Senate and House representing New York have stayed on the sidelines. That kind of spineless politics is what people are sick of, Van Hollen said. They need to get behind him, and behind him now. Now, Justin Chermel, a spokesman for Jeffries, poked back at Van Hollen at the time. Leader Hakeem Jeffries will have more to say about the general election well in advance of the November 4th election. Meanwhile, confused New Yorkers are asking him question, Chris Van who? And where is he from? Maryland? That's not New York City. Hochul says that she's looking at legislation on prostitution. Prostitution happens in New York. That's just a fact according to data on arrests from New York City Police Department. There's no indication that it's going to change. That's why some members of the state legislature have tried in recent years to pass 2 bills related to the practice. Neither of the bills would allow for a state-regulated industry or prostitution, but they differ in their intended results. One has been used in the campaign for New York City mayor against candidate Zohan Mandani to frame him as a would-be architect of legal prostitution in the 5 boroughs. It's also one of those things that would require state-level legislation, Governor Hochul said Tuesday, and that's not on the table. We are not legalizing prostitution in the state of New York. Full stop, Hochul said. We are looking at the legislation, but we are not supporting of letting people who are coming to the crimes of setting up systems where we'll have prostitution rampant. We don't know what legislation Hochul is talking about, but what we do know is which of the 2 competing bills Mandami would prefer. Mandami is a co-sponsor of Celia's Act for Rights and the Sex Trades, a bill sponsored by Assemblywoman Parrot Forrest and State Senator Julia Salazar. It would decriminalize consensual sex work. That means people who sell or buy sex work would no longer be arrested, as it's between 2 consenting adults. It's like how marijuana possession was allowed before the regulated market came online in New York. The bill would not repeal laws against human trafficking, coerced sex, or acts involving minors. Those would remain the same. The second bill, which Mandami did not co-sponsor, is the Sex Trade Survivors Justice Equality Act. It takes a different approach and is targeted more at human trafficking. And Andrew Cuomo doesn't miss a cheap shot as a Muslim supporter of Democratic nominee Zohan Mandami bid for mayor was stunned in a disbelief when he was confused in public about the candidate's support for decriminalizing prostitution. Independent candidate Andrew Cuomo pointed out Mandami's past support for legalizing or decriminalizing prostitution as sex work during an appearance at an Islamic center in the Bronx. If he does support legalizing prostitution, do you still support him? Cuomo asked. He does not. He will not. The Mandami backer claimed Zohan will never ever sponsor a bill that will legalize prostitution. As a Muslim brother, said the backing, noted Mandami is a Muslim. He will never ever do that. Sheikh Ibrahim Nais who was sitting next to Cuomo, said prostitution is unacceptable and immoral. We will never support it, no matter what. Cuomo claimed he's promoting a pro-safety agenda while Mandami is not. And let's quickly say that ABC News, which has a scheduled mayoral debate later this week, Zohan Mandani backed out of it, and now he's back in it since Jimmy Kimmel's show went on this past Thursday. I am withdrawing not as an indictment of the local affiliate or the hardworking journalists, but rather in response to the corporate leaders who have put the bottom line ahead of their responsibility in upholding the freedom of the press, Mandami said in a statement. However, since the lifting of the suspension, it appears that Mandami will be back in there. I am getting near my end, so I will come up with a couple of items. Where are we? Oh, let's go to casinos. And I'll end it probably the show here. A local panel on Monday killed the third and final proposed casino for the heart of New York City, ending its fears and dreams. The winner on that was the other 4 that are still alive, which are the 2 racinos, one at the old Aqueduct racetrack and one at the current Yonkers racetrack, Metropolitan Park in Queens, and the Bally's proposal at Ferry Point. Oddly enough, also, who was the winner of the killing of the 3 casinos in Manhattan, New Jersey. And if you've been to Atlantic City last time, and I was hoping to ask Anthony, he visited it last week. He was telling me you cannot walk outside the casino. You go to the next block, it's a slum. He said there are also cannabis dispensaries on every block in Atlantic City, and people who look like zombies, he said. He says you take your life in your hands if you go away from the casinos in Atlantic City, and half of them have closed, he said. New Jersey officials, like I said, are happy after fearing a new casino would steal more customers from Atlantic City, which once held a monopoly on the East Coast gambling. We don't want to have direct competition from Manhattan taking customers away from our casinos. And again, it leaves the 2 casinos now, the 2 racinos in the Aqueduct and at Yonkers. Their Citizens Action Committee have voted, and they voted to approve the casinos at those 2 sites, the Metropolitan Park and the Bally's at Ferry Point. Their Citizens Action Committees are voting this coming week to see if there will be, and it's pretty sure that both of them will vote. So there will be 4 casinos, the 2 racinos, which probably have the inner track, and either Metropolitan Park by Steve Cohen next to Citi Field and the tennis courts over there, or Bally's at Ferry Point in the old Trump golf course, which is on top of a garbage dump or a toxic landfill. That's I can't get into it. I can't understand why people want to build something there. But let me end the show here. I have one last item, though. New trash bins will be coming to your street soon. Hundreds of parking spaces across Brooklyn, most densely populated neighborhood over the next year. Mayor Adams announced the rollout continues a pilot program that has, over the last 2 years, brought trash containers to streets in parts of Harlem. They're now going into Brooklyn's Community Board 9. Roughly 1,100 bins have been deployed in Upper Manhattan. Now the city plans to add 1,500 more in Brooklyn's Community Board 2, which includes neighborhoods of Boerum Hill, Brooklyn Heights, and Fort Greene. We can see those coming in the future in a couple of years. So look out in the apartment buildings. You'll have these new big trash bins where the trucks come and load it up and dump it right in, as what the private sanitations do, but they have to load it in the back like the regular sanitation trucks. But these will be new special bins that will be loaded into sanitation trucks. And let me end it here. And thank you for watching. I hope to have Anthony on next week or in the future. And since we have our Eric Adams ads, I'm going to try and ask my producer to get Eric Adams on the show. I've had the Republican candidate for mayor, Curtis Sliwa, on the show. I expect to have him again before the election. And so let me thank you for watching, and we'll see what happens next week here on Talking Politics. Thank you. Mr. Producer, the show is over.
Manhattan's bright lights to Brooklyn's vibe. The Bronx's spirit, Queens diversity thrives. Staten Island's charm, all part of the crew. Eric Adams leads with a vision that's true.
Eric Adams leading the way por un futuro mejor en NYC hoy. Safer streets, healthier lives. Calidad en educación, donde todos pueden brillar.
Public safety first, con la policía en unidad. Crime rates down, comunidades con dignidad. Mejor atención médica para cada corazón. Acceso a cuidados de norte a sur, esa es la misión.
Quality education para cada niño y niña. Escuelas brillantes con maestros que enseñan. Eric Adams asegura que el futuro está claro. Para todos los neoyorquinos siempre estará a tu lado. Eric Adams leading the way por un futuro mejor en NYC hoy. Safer streets, healthier lives. Calidad en educación, donde todos pueden brillar.
Este noviembre hagamos nuestra voz oír. Vota por Eric Adams, vamos a seguir 4 años más de crecimiento sin igual. Juntos con Eric construiremos un NYC triunfal.
Eric Adams siempre hacia adelante, unidos en progreso por un futuro vibrante. 4 años más, una ciudad renovada, con la fuerza de todos, nuestra lucha es sagrada.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.